Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to our next Thrinchie. So we've done 19, 20, I still need to put my numbers on, 21, 22, let's just check, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So this is Thrinchie 24. So, and I love these colours on this background stamp. So we want one that coordinates with that, or I do anyway. So I'll just grab that stamp, which is TE16, and that is our artsy alphas and numbers. So we're going to use TE16. There we go. And we're going to use the colours, hopefully I've left out, that I used before. And of course didn't leave the purple out, which was not good. There we go. There's always one. So I'm going to use the Wilted Violet. I think I'm going to create a card on this theme as well. So I'm going to ink with the Wilted Violet. I'm then going to take some Salty Ocean, going into the Wilted Violet. I can easily go back if I wish and just add a bit more of the Wilted Violet. I'm then going to use the picked raspberry. So let's use a bit of picked raspberry. So I'm using that down here, maybe bring a bit up here and a bit in there. I'm going to use Twisted Citron next to the sort of blue. I'll then take some fossilised amber and a little bit of spiced marmalade. And then we'll just, I'm literally going to give that a mist, that's all, just one little spritz, nothing too much. And then I'm going to pick this up, and before I stamp, because there's no rush, I'm just going to wipe up that moisture. I'm going to take my little Thrinchie, which is 3 by 3 inches square. You can take the Thrinchie to the card if you wish, but I can take the stamp now and I can add that ink to my Thrinchie. I don't need to press hard, and then I can pick up any sort of ink that's left on here and add this to the background. So you can sort of add to the background if you wish, and then you've got a lovely background which works really well. And then I'm just going to give that a spritz, because the colours just become they do to me, to my eye anyway, they become a little bit brighter, and it's just softened a little bit. So, and every time you do it, it looks a little bit different every time you do the background. So each time you can see different colours each time. So I've got the 3 by 3 inch square. We need a piece of copier paper. Now, if you're finding it too difficult to do the Posca pen, do your Posca pen first, and like Marguerite's doing, do several at the same time, or use your ink pads. You don't have to use the Posca pen if you don't wish. But I do like the faux matte that I'm getting, because it does just somehow finish the whole thing off. It just finishes it off nicely. And if you do them first, that way, if you make a mistake, you don't ruin your background that you have created. So if you want to do them first, and then you've got quite a few in your collection already done, and if you do them in advance as well, then everything is dry. You can decide which way you want your Thrinchie. It's entirely up to you. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to go to my TE11 stamp, which is background elements, and then say that you think, well, I've got touches of the pink there, but there's not much pink on that one. What I can do then is come in with a touch of the pink with a little bit of the text, and I can just bring in a little bit of that text just over the top in the pink. Now I haven't dried the card, so there's still moisture in that card, so the text therefore is lovely and soft and doesn't detract from the background that we have created. I'm definitely going to create a card with this idea because it just looks lovely. Now, whilst I'm just here, you've got these, let me move this out of the way, you've got these colours on here. I've not wiped the stencil. It's a stamp, Tracy. I've not wiped the stamp, so I'm just going to see if there's any colour left. Actually, let's grab a piece of 4x6 inch card. So if we grab a piece of 4x6 inch card, and let's see if there's any ink on there. See, it's surprising, isn't it? How much ink you've got on there. So now we can create a little background for a card. So that's brilliant. That now creates me a background for a card that I can create with it. So let's hold this up. Look at that. That's your second generation. And that's now a 4x6 card I can create. So I'll definitely do something with that. So it is worthwhile doing. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to add a circle to my project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a biro. So just a black pen. Any black pen, absolutely fine. And then I'm going to use the black pen and go round any size circle. So I've got a circle there, and let's grab a smaller circle here. There we go. Just so that we've got a couple of circles on there. I would say that one is about 1 inch and the other is about 1 3/4. So we've got our little circles on there. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of shading just around the circle. And because I'm adding that shading and we've got that Distress Oxide on there, I'm going to take a lot of the moisture off and just blend it very, very gently. And have you noticed when I say gently, my voice goes really gentle? Strange habit. But let's just blend that out. You could quite easily make this into baubles, couldn't you? Quite easily, if you wanted to. There we go. I'm then going to take stamp set TE31. I'm going to use this crocus-esque flower. And what's good about this flower, yes, we've got the word crocus and everything, but you can still use it throughout the year because how you colour it will just make it look slightly different. And that's what I adore the most about stamps. They're so versatile. Not that plastic. So they're so versatile. And you can use them so many times. It's just wonderful. So let's grab that crocus floral, like so. And then I'm going to take the wilted violet and just tap this onto the top of that floral, coming down a little bit into the leaves. I'm then going to take twisted citron. So let's take that twisted citron and just add that to the leaves. So let's grab another piece of spare card. She says, I can never reach this. I've got a frozen shoulder and I can't reach it. There we go. So I'm then going to just stamp this onto my background. So if you want to keep it like that, you can leave it exactly like that. You can also, let's take a little bit of moisture. Now we know that I've just done the Inktense pencil and added some shading, so we know that there's grey on that paintbrush. So let's just get rid of that. What you can do is you can either just add a little bit of moisture just to sort of brighten that up a little bit, and take the purple off now. You can come into your leaves, just brighten that up, and if you wish, you can leave your crocus just like that, and as far as I'm concerned, that looks beautiful as is. But if you want to bring a little bit more oomph to the design, you can then add a few pencils. So let's grab some purples. So let's grab a really darkish violet colour, and then dark purple, and then a little bit of light. Now that stamp in its own right would just be beautiful on that Thrinchie quite easily. But what I like to do is, for those of you that like to change things up a little bit, for those of you that like to keep it like this, it shows lots of possibilities. So I'm using violet PC932. These are my Prismacolor pencils, and I'm just lightly adding some of that violet to the floral. So I'm just going around the edge a little bit with that violet and just adding a little touch of that colour. Now I'm not going to come in too firmly because I just want to take my time and not add too much. Now again, you could quite easily leave that like that because it's still got some definition even with that touch of pencil. I'm then going to use dark purple PC931, and I'm just going to come in a little bit of the dark purple. Now what I'm not going to do is cover every bit of the oxide up. I'm going to leave some of that oxide just so some of that colour is visible. And that's just lovely. Then, oh, I didn't tell you the number, PC931. I'm then going to use lilac 956. Just come in with the lilac and just blend a little bit more with that lilac. And it just gives it a little bit more definition. I can then go in again with the violet. I'm not even going to sort of add like my usual 3 or 4 layers, because on this one I really feel that you don't necessarily need it. So I'm coming in with the violet and I'm just sort of reiterating a couple of the edges just to give that a little bit more definition. And you really don't have to colour it too much at all. Again, I would definitely sort of recommend that you wait a while before you try and add the Posca pen. Obviously, I don't wait because I'm a little bit impatient. So just add a little bit of that white pen. Just bear with me a second, sorry. No. So just add a little bit of white pen, like so. So when you're doing the Prisma pencil, you'll find that your Posca pen picks up of that waxy layer. So you do need to add a couple of layers of the white. And once it's dry, I'll come back and just so that you can see that. You can also, if you wish, add a little bit of a darker layer to the leaves, but I'm not going to sort of, the leaves are very fine, I don't need to add, so I'm going to, the colour is olive green, PC911, and I can just come in very lightly and just add, because we've got that light colour on there from the oxide, which works really nicely, I can just give a little bit of darkness, a very light touch. And then going to cut this out. There we go. Let's bring in that background so you can see how it's drying. That's from the 4x6 inch piece from the leftover inks, you know, and when you put your piece on your card, it looks just wonderful. I'll be adding some of these florals to there. So I'm going to leave a little tiny white border. And whatever I'm doing, if there's something you're not happy with, you just do you. If there's something you want to change, you change it. Whatever makes you happy when you are creating. So I'm leaving a little narrow border. You can even cut further down into the petals should you wish. So just leaving a tiny white edge just to make that pop just a little bit more. There we go. So we just cut this out for the leaves. There we go. Let's just put that to a point because that looks ridiculous. There we go. So I've now got this beautiful floral, and if you imagine several of these, even in a vase or whatever, from the stencil, snippet stencil vase, but can you see how it goes beautifully? You could even just put a little tag on there, done. You don't have to over clutter it if you don't wish. So I'm going to bring this in. Also, look how your Thrinchies can be put on a card. You could add this to a card like so, and then add your floral, edge your Thrinchie, put a little title on it. It just works beautifully each time. I just love it. So we're going to add this to our little Thrinchie. So let's just add, just make sure my glue is going towards the bottom. I might leave a couple of the leaves loose, just like so. Now, you don't want to copy or I don't want to copy every detail exactly the same from the previous one. That's why I like it to look different. So if you bring this one in, just so that you can see that. I don't want each one to look exactly the same, but you can see already it's got a different feel to it. It's just lovely. I absolutely love that. And you can leave it like that should you wish. So I'm going to stand a little critter in here. Let's move these pencils. I've got them all in the way. I've tidied up that many times. So let's grab TE32. Let's grab that TE32. And I'm going to use a pheasant. And you can see I'm not rushing the process with whatever I'm doing. I'm just taking my time. Now, did I leave the black ink pad here? No, I didn't. Let's just reach for that black ink pad. Oh, I just adore doing these. Look how many times I tap the pheasant. I don't sort of scrimp. So let's just add you. Let me just lean over there a bit. There we go. Now you've got that oxide ink under there. I haven't dried the card, so you know that there's still moisture in my card. So just give that a little bit of time. Give it some time just to absorb onto the surface of the card. There we go. Doesn't he look lovely there? Oh, I just love all these little touches. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white. Nothing too much. Don't like to add too much. I can now go over the white again, and because everything's rested, I'm adding another layer of that paint so it becomes more opaque. There we go. And then do I want to just add it straight to here? So I'm going to take the crocus stamp again. I've got stuff everywhere, it doesn't take me long. Let's place the crocus back. Let's place that back onto the TE31. You know, if I place some things back, it'd be far easier. And then on TE36, I've got the months. So I'm going to use March. So let's use that March. There we go. Oh, my little cat, it's used that much. He's falling off. He needs a good clean. So let's use the month of March. And I'm going to ink that up with my Nocturne. And I'm just going to add that here. Again, I don't really need to press too hard at all. We'll just go under there and just add a little bit of shading. Little bit of shading under there, and I'm just going to add a little bit of shading around that floral, just so that it's when it's in your book and you add all these sort of finishing touches, it really does sort of finish things off. So I'm just adding a little bit of shading just to there. There we go. I can make it a little bit darker here now. And just add that little bit darker there. That's better. Just so that stands out a little bit more. And I'm then going to take my Posca pen and just add some of my Posca, and then we'll just wipe our surface just so that it's dry. I like to work in a dry area. Let's bring in our little Thrinchie book, and I can just add this here. I'll just give that a couple of seconds just to dry, and whilst it does that, if I bring in my other book whilst I remember, and I've got these colours out, as you can see I've sort of been noting down the colour schemes that I've been using in another one of my Thrinchie books. So whilst I'm just here, I'm using TE36, and I've got this blank circle here, and I'm going to make a note of these colours. So I'm just going to ink the circle up. I'm decided I want to keep a note of my colour schemes, because then if I'm ever sort of stuck for ideas, I've put that there now, that's it. If I'm ever stuck for ideas for colour schemes, I've then got some ideas noted down. And then if you've got, you know, some days you have where you're not feeling it, we all have them days, you can go and look at your colour schemes then. So I'm then going to use Salty Ocean, and then I don't have to worry about, oh, what colour did I use there? What colours went together nicely there? There we go. I'm just wiping in between so I get the true colour. Okay, where have you gone? There it is. Twisted Citron. Again, just wipe that colour. We then went to Fossilised Amber. Just wiping in between so that I've got that true colour. Picked Raspberry. Just add the Picked Raspberry. And then the Spiced Marmalade. And I don't have to remember which colours I loved then in a certain colour scheme, because I can see it. And if you want to, by the colour scheme, you can also write the Thrinchie number if you wish, and then you can see what it looked like. So we've got Wilted Violet, was that Salty Ocean? Salty Ocean. Twisted Citron. Was that Fossilised Amber? Yeah. Picked Raspberry. And Spice Marmalade. And I can even put a note and put Thrinchie 24, and I can look at that and I've got a visual then. Put a line across and I know that's one colour scheme, and I can just then keep that with my Thrinchies, and it gives me ideas for other projects. My Posca pen is now dry, which is perfect. Now add my little Thrinchie. I will put the numbers on at some point. There we go. Doesn't it look lovely once you put it in the book? I just think it looks really nice once you put it in the book. I've got that in. So it looks lovely once it's in that book. So if I lift that up now, you can see 23 and 24 together. So I just really love them. So I hope you enjoy them too, and you'll give them a go. So love to all, and I'll see you all soon. And before we go, we'll just bring in the background that we did with the second generation. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.